Other questions anybody has?
Yeah, this is Terry again. Is there some rationale as to why those counties decide for their commissioners to decide
That needs to be on. They're not hearing you.
Okay. We didn't question them about why they decided to change, so I don't know what their rationale would be. But I would suspect that a lot of it is simplicity.
Thanks.
This is Rob. I guess my kind of knee-jerk reaction about that concept is that the determination of the I just don't know how I feel about sort of tying local salaries automatically or blindly with statewide determined salaries for an entirely different position.
This is Terry, and I agree with that comment.
This is Diane, and I agree also.
Okay.
This is Nick, and I agree as well.
This is Eric, and I agree as well.
Excellent. I think we have a sort of a consensus building on that then.
That's Bob says.
Perfect. Should we jump in and just start talking about salaries? The way we usually do it is that we sort of start talking about what everybody refers to as the row. Elected officials, and then move into the council, the sheriff, and the prosecuting attorney, because we always save the most complex one for last. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about before we jump in and do that? Hearing nothing, let's. What are some thoughts people have looking at slide 15? About the first four, the assessor, the auditor, the clerk, and the treasurer. What ideas? And while you guys are coming up with your ideas, I'll ask James. Now, and we do cost of living increases. We have traditionally done them in the fall, correct? Once we start gathering the data for the year.
We've done them both, but almost always it's been in the fall. Yes.
Okay. So anything we talk about now would be just to get to parity for either January or July, and we could still talk about that if anybody wants. My idea would be to do it for July, but I'm open to anything. So if we decided that we wanted to make an adjustment, this would be exclusive of cost of living, which we have the last at least the years I've been on the commission, we have addressed cost of living in the fall. So that said. Ideas people have about the assessor, auditor, clerk, treasurer?
Bill Ziegler.
Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, yeah. I just think given the times and given the current amount of people that are, at least at this moment, presently challenged to have money, though I see certainly the 95% is a challenge we want to look at, but I think we just want to maintain the course, evaluate this, and see what the fall brings up, rather than trying to make them follow our guidelines. Because I just think it'd be a bad time to give someone a pay raise, to tell you the honest truth.
This is Diane, and I totally agree.
And this is Bob.
Yeah, this is Terry, and I think that given the times, kicking this down the field a little bit would not be bad.
Okay. This is Nick, and I agree with that too.
So Rob, this is Madden. Isn't this what you were discussing previously about that we're not really supposed to be thinking about given the time?
I was just going to get to that, but I wanted everybody else to commit first so I could then jump in and say, aha.
Last year from here.
The overall answer is that a salary commission we're sort of given not in my reading is that we are not given instructions, that we're sort of told here's some things to think about. You're not supposed to do this. It doesn't mean you can't, but you're not supposed to. And one of the things that we're not supposed to, or a couple of things, is that we're not supposed to take into account is pros and cons of legislation, tax rates, policies, personalities, other topics. So my take on that is that I think that the intention was that we wouldn't take that into account. The fact that, like, you might look and say, oh my gosh, I think the county's going to, like, they're not going to get a lot of their property taxes coming in, or whatever, or sales tax receipts will go way down, or lodging tax receipts will go way down, or other people are unemployed. My take on it is that they don't intend us to take that into account. We can't. My take is also that we could collectively decide as a group to hit the pause button and wait, and I'm not advocating that, and people who've seen me on the salary commission in the last few years will know that I'm like the last person you would expect to sort of jump in and say, oh my God, we should give everybody a raise. But I will say that I don't think that was the intention, but I think we could decide to do that. So I'm going to key off of what you guys say that you would like to do, or what you think the appropriate thing to do is. I'll just throw in, I don't think that's what they intended, but we can decide. I think we're probably not okay deciding salaries based on things like Elvis's birthday and the lotto numbers from last week, but I think we could talk about doing it for a lot of other reasons that would still be not what they asked us to do, but within our wheelhouse.
So this is Diane.
Uh-huh.
So my understanding is we gave everybody a huge raise starting January 1st. And just on those that, what we did, although I wasn't there, I know, I still would like to push it to the fall.
Okay. Other ideas?
This is Terry, and we're isolated up here in our moat-bound county, but I am affected, as most everyone else is, by what the country and the world is going through right now. I personally feel that it would be out of place to make that kind of decision right now while everyone is struggling to make a living or to survive.
Okay. Other thoughts?
Terry, this is Eric. I agree with what you said, as long as we understand that going forward, this may put us in a position then to have to give larger raises to bring it back up to that 100% that we're aiming for.
Yeah, thanks. And this is Terry again. Thanks for that input. I think we showed at the last meeting that we were prepared as a committee to do that, and that we have some guidelines, and that those are what we should pay the attention to. And if we're not meeting our own guidelines, then we should change the rules. So I agree with you.
Okay. Other thoughts, comments?
This is Madden. I'm comfortable with pushing those four down the field till the fall and see what happens, with the understanding that we're probably going to have to give them a significant raise again, or be considering giving them a significant raise again in the fall.
Okay. James, this is Rob again. Since I can't, I don't have video because of Skype and how awful it is. I can't see the look on your face. So, any comments you want to make? What's your? I know you're not supposed to make comments, but I'm asking for, are we driving off of a cliff if we do this, or sort of what are your, or is there going to be an armed insurrection where council members are hunting down commission members and looking for us with tar feathers?
Well, since you haven't actually talked about council members yet, I don't think it'll be them. But there is that potential for how do we make up that shortfall, and do we do it all at once, or do we try to figure out a way to do it maybe with quarterly or biannually increase? You have those types of options in front of you. I mean, there's, as you saw when you read through the the RCW, the state constitution, and the county charter, there's not a lot of specifics. How you do things is largely up to the commission.
Right. Well, I think on that idea, I would, my given that if the decision today, which we haven't talked about, if the decision today is actually going to be to hit the pause button, and then at some point we'll hit the play button again. And James, in prior discussions where we've asked similar questions about what is this as a percentage of the total county budget, the answer you've given is we're not actually talking about in the big scheme of county money. We're not talking about a huge amount of money here, and so we can certainly talk about it when the time comes about should we phase an adjustment in over a couple quarters. And my jumping ahead, a meeting or two or whatever we talk about this, my vote then, which isn't binding on anybody else or even me, would be the idea that we would just do a catch-up thing, because it's not any adjustment we make is not the county's biggest budget problem of the year. We get the luxury of pretending this is a pretty big deal, but it's actually, and it's a big deal to the officials, but it's not a big deal to the county budget as a whole. If we decide to if we decided to do a catch-up all at once, this will not be the biggest budget problem that the county has.
Right. I mean, you're really looking at just 9 individuals.
Exactly. So we can certainly talk about doing a phase up when the time comes if we decide to pause today. But my vote will probably let's just do it all at once and let the chips fall, because it's not a huge amount of money, but it would mean a lot to the individual people, especially if we're deciding to hit the pause button today. So.
Right.
Other thoughts people have on this?
This is Bill. My only thought is with the election coming up, if anything is going to go haywire with the 2 positions up for election on the council, if that's going to be affected if we wait today. That's my only thought on that.
And
this is Bob. I didn't quite understand that. Can you say again what your concept was?
Okay, sorry about that. You talked earlier about the election coming up this fall for the county council, and if anything will be affected by us not giving pay increases today, does that change anything as far as that election goes?
I think there's actually James. There actually is a state rule that you have to. You can't make an adjustment after the filing date, right? You can't make a downward adjustment after the filing date. Isn't that the rule?
That's correct. Yeah. The only time
the filing date's coming up.
Yeah. The only time you could make a downward adjustment would be in this period now of making that determination of what it would be effective for those individuals that are elected. So if you wanted to make a downward adjustment, you could. It wouldn't affect any of the incumbents now, but it could affect the other incoming elected officials. But
right.
But since you had elected in September to not do anything for council, I do think that it's probably having a separate deliberation on that position specifically would probably be in order.
Yeah, I agree.
Rob, this is Eric. For clarification, strictly about 4-row offices right now.
That's what we're talking about right now, but it sounds like we're kind of setting the tone for other conversations we're about to have in a few minutes. So, but yes, right now I'm only talking about the 4-row officers, none of whom are up for re-election this fall. So, which isn't a reason to either give them a raise or not give them a raise. It's just an observation that nobody's filing for this job saying, oh my God, yeah, I would file if I knew that they were getting a $2,000 raise in July. So, other thoughts on these four people particularly, or the topic in general, or anything else before we move on to the next phase?
Yeah, Bill Ziegler here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of reiterate what's being said there. If any of the elected officials have concern on their pay, they're certainly welcome to contact any of the board members, and certainly call or contact me at any time. But no, I feel very comfortable if we delay this until next fall. I did want to plant a seed that I'm still continued concerned on our methodology and the continual climb of governmental pay raises. If every county does what San Juan County does, then we're just always giving pay raises to keep up with the other county. So I just want to plant that seed. I'm not sure how we create a better system, but I certainly don't think our public officials have inadequate pay here. So I'm more concerned to the public than I am at their particular position right now, just because I feel like we're given large pay raises, which is above what's going on in the private sector.
And, thank you. That actually reminds me of something I was going to mention when I was giving my sort of opening invocation, which was the other thing that I try to keep in mind on the Salary Commission is who are my constituents here, and I think that we have three constituents or more. At least three. I think that we have the taxpayers and citizens of the county. I think we have the elected officials themselves whose salaries we're talking about. I think they are constituents, and we have an obligation to make sure that they're fairly paid. We have an obligation to the taxpayers to ensure that we're not wasting their money, even given that this is a tiny part of the overall county budget. It's still important. It must be important because the state wouldn't have this rule about having an independent commission be the one to decide the salaries. And the third one is to the county employees who aren't the people whose salaries we decide, but that we're deciding how their bosses, at least in part, feel about their jobs. And so if I think that we have an obligation to the employees to make sure that their bosses are paid fairly as well. And I say that I'm not advocating either increasing or pausing on it. So I'm just that's been my observation about who I think we answer to, which is before I just think about anything on a business sense, I always want to figure out who do I answer to, and who can fire me and why would they fire me. And then I always want to know where they're at. So where's the bathroom, and what time do we have coffee, and then when do we eat lunch? Again, other comments to and your comment is well taken about overall salaries, and have we set up a system where each individual county is sort of chasing every other individual county overall with this spiral going up? And I think that's certainly worth considering. A, is it accurate, and B, if it is accurate, what should we do about it, and C, if we do something about it, will anybody decide to run for office in this county? We seem to already have a problem with, we have an awful lot of unopposed elections in this county, but I don't believe that it's because of money. Other thoughts people have? Maybe now we can start honing in specifically about the four. It sounds like the sense of the group is that to pause on this, although we haven't taken a vote, so anybody can express any opinion they want. Any other ideas people have about the four row officers? James, do we need to make a motion to do nothing?
No, you don't need to do a motion to do nothing. And,
that's last year's public hearing.
Yeah.
So I'm a little,
So, I mean, you can do a motion, say, or do a motion and a second with a vote to say is to defer consideration of the base salary for the four road officials until the fall meeting, and we can get that clearly in the record.
I don't think we need to convolute things with that. We just didn't take action, so there's no reason for a vote. This is Bill Ziegler.
You're correct.
But this is Bob. I think there is a reason to have it in the minutes, so it was reviewed, discussed, and it wasn't something we ignored.
Okay. Maybe I'm trying to ask it a slightly different way. Is there anybody who thinks that we should continue to consider, that we should consider giving a raise to any of the four row officials at this point in time? This is not an official motion. I'm just sort of asking for a sense. Is there anybody who does want to consider moving forward with considering a raise for these people currently? Okay. I think we're done unless somebody definitely wants to make a motion to do it this way. If that's not the case, then I think we're ready to move on to the council. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, so we're going to move on to the council. Same overall thing. Now, the council, remember, we did not give them raises. We sort of hit the pause button for them last fall. Oh, did somebody have a comment? Okay, now, so for the council, we kind of hit the pause button for them last fall. What are people's thoughts about doing something now for them? I will throw out as an observation that they are the ones who fall the most behind this median plus 5% guideline that we've given ourselves. The difference now is just under, it's a little more than 9% from that median. What is the sense of pause, play? What are ideas?
This is Madden. The first thing that pops into my head is to bring them up to sort of similar to where the Port Line and the sheriff are, and then reassess in the fall for everybody.
This is Bill Ziegler. I think if I was a council member, the last thing I would want is a pay raise while we're having a world pandemic. So, though it looks bad for them there, they, if I believe, have actually not ever really requested pay raises, and I'm certainly comfortable to let them ride out to next fall.
This is Diane. I agree with Bill. I think the council members would not feel good about it.
Bob here, and I absolutely concur on that assumption.
This is Nick, and I agree as well.
This is Eric, and I agree as well.
Okay. I think that it sounds as though the sense there is the same for the council members. I will say I've never had, and to answer a question that wasn't asked, I will say I don't recall that in at least my years on the council, I don't recall that any member has come to ask for a raise, possibly because the council members may be the most political of the elected officials in the county. Probably the ones who get yelled at in the grocery store the most by people. But I have had two council members come up to me afterwards and say, thank you for giving us a raise. So I'll throw that out as like I haven't had anybody ask for a raise, but I know that they pay attention to what we do.
Yeah, the other thing is they one of the earlier councils, and this council has decided to continue with that practice, is that if they choose to say that we're not interested in getting a raise, that needs to be unanimous, and then they would provide that to the council. So they haven't had that unanimity of saying no, don't consider us for anything, but they basically just decided to opt out of participating and defer to the judgment of the commission.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I did not know that there was. I wasn't aware that the unanimity thing. I know that in the years I've been on the commission, the only person who's ever come to a meeting, I think, is Jamie. At least that I recall. But I know Rick Hughes has come up to me afterwards and said thanks for the raise. Although to be completely honest, I did not claim 100% credit for his raise. I gave I let him know it was a group decision.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anyone who doesn't think that we are ready to move on from council members? I'll give a few seconds for anybody who wants to say anything. Okay, so we've officially considered council members, and we have agreed. It sounds like the sense of the commission is that we will pause and reevaluate in September. The next position that we consider is the sheriff. Additional comments people have here while you're thinking of your comments, I'll observe that the sheriff, the percentage that he's at right now is sort of in line as of July 1 with the 4 row officers, so there's some parity there in terms of we're not at the guideline, but he's not fallen dramatically above or below where everyone else is. So that said, other comments people have about the sheriff's salary individually. Is there anybody who would like to consider a raise for the sheriff? Okay. Is the sense, so I'm gathering that the sense here is that we're going to hit pause for the sheriff as well. The simple yes is fine, or you can elaborate more if you'd like.
Bob, yes.
This is Terry. Yeah, this is Terry, and I agree.
Okay.
This is Diane. I agree.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like the answer for the sheriff is the same as for the other ones, is that we are going to pause until September, when hopefully the virus will be gone and we're all frolicking in the green fields of the fall. Good. Okay, so we have one left, which is the prosecuting attorney. I will, while you guys are considering comments, I will observe that currently we are at. He's actually a little bit ahead of the percentage compared to the medium plus 5% guideline that we have. He's a little bit ahead of the other everyone else except for the clerk. So actually, he's even a little bit ahead of the clerk. As of July 1st. So, does anybody have any thoughts, comments, things that they'd like to talk about on the prosecuting attorney in terms of would anybody like to propose a raise or get a conversation started about making a change now?
Well, here's Terry, and my comment is that I am not prepared to release our responsibility for determining his salary to the state and match the Supreme Court's salary. And I think that's basically been the question so far. So that starts the conversation.
Okay. It's actually not the Supreme Court. It's actually Superior Court. But I get what you're taking, and I agree with that observation in general about linking it 100% to the Superior Court. We could choose to make, and we have in the past made individual adjustments not related to the Superior Court. And is there anybody who would like to make any other comments? Raise, no raise, hit pause with everyone else.
This is Diane, and I'd like to push it to the fall also.
Okay.
This is Bob.
Terry and
This is Bob, and I think it's consistent with our previous thinking.
Okay.
This is Eric, and I agree.
Okay.
This is Nick, and I agree.
Madden, and I agree. This is Madden, and I agree.
This is actually, today's been sort of a rare display of unanimity among the commission. So again, I'll restate that it sounds as though there's a sense of the commission that we should hit pause on the prosecuting attorney's, the county's portion of the prosecuting attorney's salary, and that we will defer action until the fall, where we can reevaluate and see kind of where we are and what the sense of the commission is then. Does anybody have any other comments about the prosecuting attorney related to the salary? Okay, I think that we are done with discussions of salaries. James, before we jump into scheduling the next meeting, is there anything that I missed or we should have talked about or that I did wrong?
No, I think you've covered everything.
Okay. That's good. So I think that we have, the next thing is to talk about when we'll meet in the fall, and we have traditionally met on Thursdays. I think that's correct, isn't it, James?
Yes.
Because those are good days for for utilizing the room. Although who knows if we'll ever be using rooms at the county again? You know.
Right.
So I'm looking at my calendar. Thursday, we would be, like the 7th is Labor Day, so I don't know if people are coming back, so I'll just throw out 10th, 17th, 24th. Any ideas? People have days that I'm trying to think of the most efficient way to ask this. Who can't do the 10th?
Which month are you looking at?
September.
Okay.
I would really prefer to not do the 10th.
Okay.
This is Diane. I can't do the 10th.
Okay. So let me skip over to the 17th. Is there anybody who cannot do the 17th? Okay.
This is Terry, and I would probably call in either the 17th or 24th, but I could make both meetings by calling.
Okay. Okay, so 17th sounds like a possibility. 24th, who could not do the 24th? Oh, another day. That sounds good. James,
Yeah.
Well, do you think that would be enough time? Will you have the information ready for the COLAs by then, or?
That's really up to when the other counties make their decisions.
Kind of a crapshoot, anyway.
Right. September is a little early for some of them. Depending upon how they do their budgeting process. But we do have the data that you've seen that we know that will happen in July, which will be, I think, a reasonable starting point. But otherwise, we would probably be looking more to the middle part of October to be more confident that we would have more data, the full data.
Okay. Let's see. Keeping the 17th and 24th open, I'll throw out October. If we did October 8th, is there anybody who could not do it on October 8th?
I am supposed to be out of town most of October.
Okay.
So, whether I can make it on the 8th or not, I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay.
October 1st might be better, but...
Okay. Anybody else could not do it on October 1st?
This is Bob. Would we likely have the COLA data by the 1st of October?
It's more likely that we would have it by the 1st of October than we would by the 17th of September.
Okay.
At the meeting when we would likely have the COLA data, so we're not spinning our wheels.
Okay. Is there any? So,
What do you
I
think?
don't want to go too late in the year because then we start running into everything else. So Diane, that was you're going to be out for all of October, or what if we did it towards the very end?
Who knows what's going to happen, right?
Okay,
But
yeah, good point.
my plane is flying out on the 9th.
Okay.
So,
And are you back before the end of October?
No, I don't get back till the end of October.
Okay. Okay. Shall we just roll the dice and go for October 1st then, and see what's in and what's not?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do October 1st, tentatively. Hopefully the world hasn't ended by then, or that we haven't all been turned into zombies.
Diane,
go ahead.
and Diane should bring the donuts.
There we go.
Again, I will bring the donuts.
And if we're able to have an in-person meeting, so why don't we tentatively say noon on October 1st, because noon works out for those of us who are taking inter-island ferries, assuming that by that time in world history we will be able to take inter-island ferries without being met by angry mobs at Friday Harbor who want to test us for diseases that we don't have.
Right.
Good. So
Okay.
we have a meeting, and I think that we know what we're going to consider. We will consider COLA to the extent we have information available. Actually, we'll consider COLA anyway. And then we'll consider the thing that we're pausing now, which is compliance with our 5% over median guideline. We'll review whether we are going to keep hitting pause, or whether we'll hit play. Are there other agenda items we should consider next? I guess we should have one of the things on the agenda will be what our subcommittee will consider the comparator county work that our subcommittee that has been decided who's on it but has not yet met. We'll consider what that subcommittee comes up with. Are there other agenda items people would like to consider? Okay. And James, I think that based on that, I think that the information that we would need from you in the fall is just sort of the usual information that you pull together for us, and that the usual information you pull together, I do a great job on.
Yeah. Thank you.
I can't think of anything special. So is there anything else anybody wants to talk about before I ask for a motion to adjourn?
This is Bob. As sort of the new person, it would be helpful if maybe staff or someone could give me offline here the history of the median plus 5% philosophy, or history to that calculation.
Okay.
And when will you be back, Bob?
I'm back now in Friday Harbor.
Oh, okay. Because I do have a manual for you that has some of that data in it.
Okay, great. 685 Spring at where our mailing is, and appreciate getting that. I just want to make sure I understand that philosophy.
Okay.
And if you understand it, then you can explain it to everybody else too.
Yeah.
There'll be a quiz next time. Good.
Yeah, and
Okay.
if you go through the entire manual, I will buy you a copy.
A virtual copy, I'm sure.
Virtual copy.
Excellent. So in the absence of any other items to bring up, pause, wait a couple seconds, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Bill Ziegler makes a motion that we adjourn.
Do we have a second on the motion to adjourn?
Eric, with a second.
Keeping with our simple way of voting, is there anybody who is opposed to adjourning at the current time? Hearing no sense, I will assume that we have a unanimous motion to adjourn, and that we're adjourned until October 1st. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Rob,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Talk to you
Rob.
later.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
And Rob, you will contact us, and we'll come up with a time for our committee meeting.
He may be gone, Terry.
All righty, thanks. I'll call him at home.
Okay, thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
It's pretty surprising.